Now, every good home cook knows that a few knife skills can save you a ton of time in the kitchen and save your hands. I'm Suzy with the MediterraneanDish.com. Today in my kitchen, I have my very good friend, Chef Laura King. She is a renowned culinary instructor here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and she is going to show us Knife Skills 101. You're gonna wanna stick around to see how we slice, dice, chop, and everything else. Laura, take it away. Tell us how to use a knife.
Well, first, it's really important that you have some safety tips about your knife.
How to hold the knife.
Yes, how to hold the knife. And of course, we're talking about a chef's knife,
right,
which is important because there's so many knives out there that people can use.
So what's a chef's knife?
So one of the ways you know it's a chef's knife because it has a right angle. And that allows you to do this rocking motion with a chef's knife.
Okay.
So if you don't have this right angle, then you're going to be a little bit at a disadvantage.
Too wobbly. Okay.
Yeah.
What about like this?
So with your board also, with your cutting board, you want to make sure that it is stable in some way.
So
because if it's not,
cheap thing is wobbly. So
and it doesn't really matter that it's cheap. You will want to put, the best thing is to get a...
Look at you!
to get a paper towel.
I got me one, guys.
Just wet your paper towel a little bit and then put it underneath your board, and then your board will be stable.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then you've got your chef knife and you've got your board nicely secured.
You're ready.
What happens from here?
Yeah, let's talk about holding the knife. So if we're right-handed, this is your hand that will be on the knife, and then you have your guiding hand over here. Okay. This needs to be kind of in a claw so that you can actually do your knife right next to your fingers, and you're not going to cut your fingers. That's right.
Look at you, rock your knife. I have assembled a few of my favorite veggies because you know we do a lot of vegetarian in Mediterranean cooking, and recipes will call for like chopping, dicing, slicing, so let's show people today what you would do with some of what we have here. So what should we start with?
Well, why don't we start with this carrot, and you've already peeled it and everything. Right. A couple different things to consider with just a standard slice of any vegetable, and this is a perfect vegetable to use. It would be the same if you're going to do a cucumber or a zucchini. Something long, even a celery, that's long. You can do something called a rondelle, and it's just a round slice. So you're holding this carrot here, and again, we're stabling it because when it rolls, then you're going to slip. So you're actually kind of digging your fingers into it just a smidge. These two fingers are actually on the board while these are kind of dug into the vegetable itself.
I'm gonna practice, guys. Here. All right. So,
It is a little more challenging with nails.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I have nails. I like nails.
And then what you're able to do is point as always down on the board. If I don't point, then I'm a little more unbalanced here, and I'm trying to cut like this. When you have this point down, then you can steady yourself.
So this would be a straightforward
rondelle. It's a round symmetric slice.
Okay. And you could obviously adjust how thick or thin you want your slice to be. Okay.
Okay, so maybe let's do what is called a matchstick, right? And what you will have to do if you have a round vegetable like this is you have to square it off first. So I'm going to do my claw again, and I'm going to come down and all the way through so that I have a flat surface to work with and it's not rolling anymore. And then I'm going to try to make a right angle.
Nice. Okay.
So I can make all of these slices this way now, and then make them even thinner, and then I can have little matchstick.
Now, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you with this guy. What would you do with this? I mean, it's cute, but what would you do with it? Because it's so odd looking, But
well, how would you want to cook this? I love the squash grilled. It's wonderful, right?
What if
make
you
a nice salad?
A little quick ratatouille in a big pot.
Yes. Again, you could do rondelle, and all I would actually do is cut this guy off here, and maybe you could cut him off. But that's really your only, if there's any waste on it. Yes. And so let's just, for the sake of making it look pretty for the grill, why don't we cut this guy here? But I would use him for something else. You could definitely rondelle. You could do your ratatouille slices, right, if you're going to grill them. You could also, let's say we're going to dice. Remember, we have to have our flat surface.
Okay.
Okay, so rondelle that. And then when I get my flat surface, I'm going to
square it up.
Square it up.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and make
See,
my
I'm
slices.
catching on you guys. I'm getting this. This is working.
I'm going to go ahead and make my slices here out of the squash. And then they're symmetric.
So, and then you stack them on top of each other.
And to
kind
go
of save
quicker.
some time,
Right. And then we're going to make these little small French fries again.
Yeah.
Which are our little bâtonnets, right?
And then from here, do you do anything more? Oh, you
From
keep
here,
going. You keep
can.
going.
You can turn them the other direction, right?
Right, yeah.
And we have them all stacked up. And then we're going to just make what's called a small dice.
Wow. Now this would work also for other veggies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Any
And then you
veggie
have
you
this
wanna
beautiful little
Oh my
1-inch
gosh,
bow.
look how tiny they are. Perfect. Now this guy is a little challenging because you've got the core going on too.
Right.
So how do you work with that?
Just know how the vegetable grows, right? And where the seeds are. The seeds in this are growing right down the center, and they actually don't go all the way to the bottom. So again, back to our safety, we're gonna hold it,
Right.
and then I'm
Steady
going
it.
to bring my knife here, and I'm actually gonna come into it and around those seeds.
All right.
And so when you see it, you can see that the seeds are kind of coming there.
Yeah.
And so when I do the same on this side, I will come around the seed.
And you're just kind of leaving that core part alone.
Yep.
Okay.
And we can finally do
Oh
that right
my
there.
gosh, and you've got your core out.
Then you
like
have it
super
out.
easy, you guys.
And then from there, you can cut from this direction and cut in, and same thing. And then you're gonna
And
get
that's your stir fry cut. Okay, now I'm like really self-conscious when I cook on camera again because I'm not like that's not my gift. But I'm gonna try. I promise you, I'm gonna get better at it. Okay, how about I love garlic.
I do
use
too.
a ton of garlic in Mediterranean cooking, and you know, and sometimes a recipe will call for minced versus chopped versus sliced. You know, like. What does that look like size-wise? I'm gonna give you my garlic. I'm gonna take this here and...
Well, first the thing is obviously knowing what a bulb and a clove is, which some people don't. If your recipe calls for a bulb, it's calling for the entire
For
garlic.
the whole thing, like a whole...
Maybe a
or is that
roasted
the same
clove?
as like a head of garlic?
Yes. If a recipe calls just for a clove of
Sure,
garlic,
yeah.
then what you're doing is you're opening this up and you're actually pulling it apart. This would be a great time to use your paring knife.
Okay.
To come in and just open up this a little bit, and then you can put your fingers in there and pull out. And so then we have all of these little cloves here. But what you'll do in order to peel them, which drives people crazy, is you want to take the back of your chef's knife, you want to lay it on here,
My favorite part.
and you are going to just pop it like that.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And then you immediately have
Isn't that such a satisfying feeling? I
It's
feel like if you're stressed out one day, you could just grab a head of garlic and go after it.
pop the garlic. And then you're kind of halfway there already
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
has smashed.
So now you're gonna slice. If you were just to slice it.
If you were just to slice it, I would hold it here, and then I would just come through,
do your point and rock motion. Yeah?
point and rock.
Okay.
But then a lot of recipes, most recipes call for it to be minced.
Right.
And
Because you don't want to bite on such a big piece of
Nobody
garlic that it
wants that.
stays with you.
no, because that's good.
Not good. That is not good. No kisses.
No
kisses. So, all right. So let's.
So we want it
dice.
to mince, and you know, if, garlic has a lot of sugar in it, so it starts to get
Yes.
really sticky. Yeah.
Interesting. That's why whenever I'm done working with it, my hands are so.
That's the sugar that's in it, and that's why
Right.
when we cook it just a little bit, it brings out the amazing flavors.
Tons of flavor. Yeah.
So you're just going to run your knife through it, and then this is what we call mincing garlic.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
And you're just gonna go after it until you get to that
You are.
size that you feel is good for your recipe.
And I'm gonna rake it back together, and then I'm gonna put my fingers on top of my knife.
To steady yourself
And do a
then
rocking
just go
motion,
a rocking
right.
motion.
But just, make sure keep your fingers out of the way, and then keep that knife, and then we're just raking it off, bringing
Nice.
it back together.
Okay, shall we end this cutting party with a little bit of parsley to show people how this would apply here?
Yes.
What do you typically do with the stem? Because I find there's a lot of good flavor in the stem, so I don't like to move the whole thing. And I certainly don't want to spend the time going like this, right? So,
No,
what
so
do
of
you
course
do?
it depends on what you're going to use it for, but
Right.
I am all about using the stems of herbs because there is a ton of flavor there,
Right.
and they're edible, and why throw them away?
And save time.
I'm literally just going to take my knife, and I'm going to do what's called a rough chop
Yeah.
Go all the way through it, right?
And if you want to go smaller, then you...
Then I rake it back together.
Okay.
Once it gets a pile though, then you really need to move to this motion.
Okay.
Then you're able to just run your knife through it just like this.
This is awesome, Chef Laura. Thank you so much. You guys, this is going to save you a ton of time. I hope you watch this video over and over again. If you like it, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, subscribe and follow this channel. And of course, all the delicious recipes are on themediterraneandish.com. See you there.